just thought that I'd give you guys an update video on how my recording studio was coming along, because a while back I talked about it, and since then I haven't done a whole lot of videos about it. Now, one of the most crucial things that's going to be going in my recording studio is going to be the piano for recording on. And I've had a lot of different people ask me in the YouTube comments, what piano is this going to be? Because I've done a whole video series called In Search of the World's Greatest Pianos, where I've looked all over the United States for the piano that I want in my recording studio. And in December, when I'm going to be graduating from high school, I'm going to be beginning to choose and make the final decision on what piano I want to have in the recording studio. So sometime after December, expect to see some kind of update video on that. We're also collecting all kinds of other stuff for the studio, so even though we're not at the site of the studio, we're still gathering things and making future plans on things we want to have. Right now I'm sitting in front of a Korg SV-1, which I actually discovered on a trip we made, and on the way up to the trip, we went through Redding, California, and I found this in a little music store, and I was messing around with it, and I really liked the sounds it could do, so we ended up picking one up. It has all kinds of really cool sounds, like from the 70s and things. It's got Rhodes pianos, it's got actual pianos, it's got organs, and it's got all kinds of other cool stuff as well, and there's lots of sound customization, and I'll be actually doing an even more in-detail video in the future. It might even be the next video I do. But it has really cool sounds. I like the action, I love the sounds of it, and it's really cool. In the studio, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up another stand that's identical to this one, because it's a pretty good design. It's a simple design, it's pretty stable and sturdy, and what's going to happen is I'm going to have this keyboard and most likely a Kawai MP11 on the other side of it, facing the other way. And I like the Kawai MP11 for a number of reasons. Again, the action is excellent. It's probably even better than this, because the action of the MP11 is designed after Kawai's top-of-the-line concert grand action. It also has all kinds of different sounds. Some of these were sampled, again, I believe, from Kawai's top-of-the-line pianos, and it's really, really good keyboard. I loved practicing on it at NAMM, and I definitely want to have one in the future. So basically the idea is I'm going to have the SV-1 and the MP11 right back-to-back in the studio, and I'm going to be able to play on them, practice on them, do recordings on them, all that stuff, just right there. It'll be really, really compact and neat. And there's also going to be all kinds of other stuff as well in the studio, of course. One thing that we are collecting at the moment is guitar amps. At the moment I have two. I have the vintage Vibro Champ, which is behind me. You might not be able to see it, but it's there, trust me. And that is from 1967, and I absolutely love the sound of it. Vibro Champs have been a staple in recording studios for many, many years, and it's going to be a staple in my recording studio. Another amp that I have, but probably isn't going to be used like ever in the recording studio, is this massive Music Man amp. It's the 212, and it's actually like 150 watts, and it's absolutely massive. It's for like, you'd use it if you were playing guitar in like a stadium, not in a recording studio. But it's cool to have, and we thought it was neat, and it does have a good sound to it. It just, I don't think I'll ever use it in the studio. So the ideal thing to have in the studio would be something a little bit bigger than the Vibro Champ, because you might need that type of a sound for different songs. So there's a few different options. We might be getting a vintage Princeton amp, a vintage Vibrolux amp, or we could go with a new alternative. There's a couple different companies that make new versions of these amps that are built to the original 1960s specs, and one of the companies we're looking at is called Achilles. They're based out of Australia, and they make a really, really amazing Vibrolux amp. So while we don't have those amps, we're still deciding on what to get, and it's going to be really cool. There's also other things that we're going to have too. I'm going to have a Roland Atelier organ, which I've had for quite a few years, and I actually competed on it when I was about 10. And I also want to get a Hammond B3 organ. Those have the classic, I mean, how else do you describe it? It's a classic B3 sound that nothing else can really replicate as good as the actual thing. And I really want to have that sound in my studio. It'll be really fun to mess around with and add to all kinds of different music. And it's going to be super fun to have that in the studio. I'm also going to have all kinds of different drums. I've got a vintage Ludwig drum kit that you might have seen in a couple of covers. I'm going to be using it a lot more in the future, and in videos, and of course in the studio, because it sounds really good. And so yeah. Of course, if we have guitar amps, we also have guitars. Behind me, it's probably off screen, maybe it's not. There is a vintage Ibanez bass guitar that I've also used in a few videos before. It's got a really nice thumpy bass sound, and it's really cool. I also have a vintage Telecaster from the 70s that I've done an, was it an unboxing? No, it wasn't really an unboxing, but I did a video talking about the history of the guitar. It's got a neat history. And I also have a new 2011 Stratocaster that I also did a video on in the past. So we've got guitars, we've got amps for them, we've got all kinds of stuff, and we're going to be getting even more things. So if you want to see the building of Milan Recording Studios, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.